Everyone. Just want to come briefly and tell you that we're about to start a brand new um, mini series. Well, this one might be a little longer than the last one, just because it's going to be on cognitive distortions. And so, if you've ever heard about cognitive distortions, you already know it's irrational beliefs. It's these nuances, right? It's beliefs that may have been shaped by experiences, belief systems, or even worldviews, right? Additionally, so when it comes to cognitive distortions, you're going to find treatment in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which was obviously developed by Aaron T. Beck about in the 1960s or so. And then we also know about DBT because we talked about it before, dialectical behavioral therapy, which was with Marsha Linehan. That is who developed that modality. So you will see different techniques and things that one can do in both of those modalities, CBT and DBT, as far as how to treat cognitive distortions. So these are rational beliefs. What do they lead to? They lead to a lot of negative emotional distress. They lead to this skewed view of the world, others, and even self. Um, it gets to be a place where when you view or even hear and communicate with others, you have already written a narrative. The problem is with cognitive distortions, the narrative is always false because it's backed by other narratives. No facts, just feelings. And we've talked about that so many times previously, right? So the first cognitive distortion that I'm going to be speaking of is going to be black or white thinking. Some people may refer to it as all or nothing thinking, right? Well, here, this is where it goes to absolutes. And I've often said there is, no absolute except for when we talk about maybe like weather, certain things, obviously, it's going to be this or that, right? But then in a lot of situations, we have this absolute thinking, specifically in the distortion of black or white, right? All or nothing. If you don't succeed, then you're a failure. If you don't feel good, then you feel bad. I want y'all to think about that, you know? I often joke so much about speaking about cognitive distortions because it's been so many times that in sessions I'll say, have you ever heard of cognitive distortions? And, typically somebody will say no. So I'll provide the psychoeducation and they'll say, oh, no, I don't have those. Well, I can be a smart ass at time and I'll just say, well, congratulations, you just had your first one. Because we all have them or we all have experienced them. You may not have experienced every one that's on there, but we all have cognitive distortions. That is what begins that entire, view of self, view of others, how we interact with others, our way of communicating before we sometimes even speak and open our mouths to speak, we've already written a narrative based on distorted thinking. Some modalities, DBT specifically, even call it unhealthy thinking styles. How can this be unhealthy? So we go back to black or white thinking. We've already said it's all or nothing, meaning if you're not good, you're bad. If you don't succeed, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, let's really look at this now. Can you honestly prove to me that you're always a failure? Listen to the verbiage I'm using. Can you honestly prove to me that you have always been a failure? Or did you have some instances where you may have failed, right? Could have been trial by error, right? I'm always bad, or he or she are always bad. And don't get me wrong, there are some people in this world that I like do not like at all. Like I'm like, I can't stand them. And yet I still have to be honest and say I can't absolutely say that they are always bad. So let's take it a step further. Who determines then what is good and what is bad, right? And the reason I say that is because for one, something may be viewed as bad, while another, it may be viewed as good. So I'm really careful in even using that language. But even the most cruelest people that I have encountered based off of my experience, right? Or something that I have observed, I can't say they're always bad because I ain't always with them. Wasn't always with them when in their upbringing. So to say that we put this blanketed statement, they're always bad. Like I said, I can find the most cruelest individual, and it may be something I can actually say, wow, well, it's not always bad. They're not always mean. It may be situational. Just a different way to look at it, y'all. You know, so then you say, okay, I do that a lot. I use the word always, never. I never can get anywhere on time. I've asked this questions before, and I'm like, okay, so you telling me in your whole life you've never got anywhere on time? Well, no, I mean, but most times, okay, well, now we're rewriting this narrative. So then why are you saying it as it's an always thing or it's a never thing? Words and how we actually speak, it really does matter in just how we navigate through this thing called life. So, how do you counter argue this thought the way we're thinking? That's what we just did. You have to challenge that thing. When you have that thought come where you're like, oh my gosh, my life always goes bad. I never have a win. Some people can argue within, their thought processes, while others, they have so many overgrown weeds in their mind, meaning so many negative thoughts that it's hard to even begin to counter argue, right? So it may be best for you to write it down so that way you have something tangible. And so you write down the thought, I never can get a win. I never have success. Well, first off, think about what you just said. I never get a win. Is that a factual statement or is it an opinion of self? Okay, we're counter arguing now. It's almost like rebuttaling yourself. It can be so helpful. So then in one column, you say feelings. In the other column, we say facts. Now, these feelings, that is what you're supporting this mindset of, I never can get a win. I never have success. So you might listen to feelings. I didn't get that call back for that job interview. So that's your feeling. Let's go a little further. How did not getting that call back for that job interview make you feel actually, right? What's the emotion that you felt? I felt rejected. All right. So there's another feeling. Let's go over here to the factual side. Have you ever worked? Have you ever been employed? Yes. Well, then we just canceled out that entire statement you just made. You see, here's the thing. So then you may laugh to yourself and be like, Cam, I mean, that was like so juvenile, like this example. It sounds like it's juvenile, and yet we all experience this. Why? Because we don't break it down to the point of counter arguing ourselves. Instead of challenging our thoughts and beliefs, we feed them, right? We continue to spiral into this whole thing where we just write narrative after narrative after narrative, which is the foundation is distortion after distortion after distortion. I really hope y'all, are able to put this into play and really practice this. Like I said, the black and white thinking may not be a distortion that you have, but you may know someone that does experience it. And so I hope that it helps them. I hope that you enjoyed, the first portion of this mini series. Stay tuned, there's more to come. And just remember, always be gentle with yourself. Give yourself space and grace, for we are all doing this thing called life for the very first time. Peace and blessings, y'all. Bye.